Spain, Norway and Ireland have said that they will recognise Palestinian statehood. Many Western countries have resisted recognising an independent Palestinian state for years. But Israel's war against Hamas after the October the 7th terror attack has put renewed focus on the issue. Israel's foreign minister has denounced the decision as a threat to the nation's sovereignty and security.
Barred off from Israel by fences and barriers, the Palestinian territories will be formally recognised as a state by 3 more European countries. Spain, Ireland and Norway choosing to support the Palestinian push for sovereignty. A step, they say, towards peace.
The time has come to move from words to action, to tell the millions of innocent, suffering Palestinians that we are with them, that there is hope, and to make it very clear that no matter how many walls are erected, no matter how many villages are bombed, and no matter how many illegal settlements are built, the land and identity of Palestine will continue to exist in our hearts, in international legality, and in the future project of a Mediterranean in harmony.
Previously, 139 of 193 UN countries recognised the state of Palestine, the latest signatories calling on others to do the same.
In the midst of war, with tens of thousands of dead and injured, we must keep alive the only thing that can provide a safe home for both Israelis and Palestinians. 2 states that can live in peace with each other, Israel and Palestine.
Israel's government has hit back.
Regarding a Palestinian state, there are people who support this opinion and there are people who do not. But this is not the place nor the time now to come and unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. And any such decision harms Israeli sovereignty and Israeli security, and we will not allow it. I ordered to recall our ambassadors back home, and we will take all measures to prevent that.
President Mahmoud Abbas, the leader of the Palestinian Authority, welcomed the recognition and called on other nations to, quote, support the struggle of our people for liberation and independence.
Earlier, I spoke to DW correspondents Rebecca Ritters in Jerusalem and Jack Parrock in Brussels. I started by asking Jack what this recognition means.
Well, it is a political statement and it's also a very symbolic one, obviously. The Spanish Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, when he made the announcement in Madrid earlier today, he said that the recognition serves to tell the Palestinians, we are with you. Simon Harris, the leader in Ireland, he said that the recognition of it's a recognition of the Palestinian people to their right to self-determination. It is a really significant move for the 3 countries. It is symbolic. They're not necessarily the biggest diplomatic powers of Europe, but they have been they've been saying that they're going to do this for some time. All of them, it will come into force, this recognition, on May the 28th. There were other countries. Belgium was perhaps going to be expected to do this alongside them. We do know that there are moves here in Belgium to make a similar announcement, and indeed potentially in France as well. Now, although it is symbolic, it is also significant because Arab countries have said that they will only be involved in the sort of policing of a reconstruction of a post-war Gaza if Western nations recognise a state in Palestine. So the more countries that do that, the more support that there would be from those Arab nations to fund, firstly, a post-war Palestinian state.
OK. And looking at reactions from Israel, Rebecca, Israel has now recalled its ambassadors to the 3 countries. What else is Israel doing and saying?
Well, this announcement has drawn fury from Israel, probably unsurprisingly to most viewers. Israel completely opposes the decision that has been announced, this joint decision by Spain, Ireland and Norway. Benjamin Netanyahu has long said that establishing a Palestinian state would be an existential danger to Israel and been standing against it, certainly since the war that began on October 7. As you mentioned, the ambassadors to those 3 countries have been been recalled, and they are looking at further measures. The Finance Minister, Bezalel Smotrich, has called for further punitive measures and said that he will be withholding tax that Israel collects and then gives to the collects for the Palestinian Authority and then hands over. He'll be withholding those taxes, and they'll be looking at further punitive measures. Now, in response to this, the Foreign Minister this morning said that it sends a message to Palestinians and to the world that terrorism pays. He also said that it will harm efforts to retrieve the remaining hostages inside Gaza. So a very strong reaction from Israel. On the Palestinian side, we've seen a much more positive response, obviously. The Palestinian Authority, who have always been fighting for a two-state solution, have reacted positively, and Hamas has also come out to say that they think that this is a step in the right direction.
And we're joined now by Noura Erakat, a human rights attorney and assistant professor at Rutgers University in the US. Welcome to DW. It's great to have you on the show. Can I start by asking you what difference today's announcements make? Do they bring a Palestinian state closer to reality?
I think that we need to understand these statements as mostly symbolic without the weight of accountability and action that's necessary. In 2012, 138 states recognized Palestine as a state, and yet we are in a condition right now of apartheid where a state is not going to rectify that racial colonial structure that regulates all of Palestinian lives and has led us to this moment where we see it enact an entire genocide against Palestinians who are seen as not desired on that land.
Okay.
I think what would be much more worthwhile.
I should just stop you there because, of course, those are terms that are highly disputed and rejected by Israel, absolutely. But do carry on. Please do make your point.
Yeah, but has also rejected that it's actually that there is a Palestine, and I think that we should take everything that Israel says with an incredible grain of salt. How dare it insult these countries and say and recall its ambassadors when the entire raison d'etre of the so-called peace process was to establish a Palestinian state. How dare Israel have this reaction when 138 states have already endorsed a Palestinian state, or where there has been an international consensus since 1967 that the occupation of the territories is illegal. So for us to tiptoe around these words, which are in international law and have been established by several human rights legacy organizations, is to basically submit to the dictates of a country that would like to make apartheid normalized.
All right. And Noura, do you expect other countries to follow the lead of Ireland and Norway and Spain?
I think if we're just focusing on the EU, we see this as a tremendous step forward, but the majority of the world has already supported Palestinian self-determination. More than that, they have supported an end to apartheid. And at this moment, I hope that they follow the lead by actually issuing arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Gallant when they step on their soil, by enacting sanctions against Settlement Enterprise and other military industrial enterprises, by actually stopping the transfer of weapons that are continuing a genocide, by engaging in the boycott that has been called for by Palestinians in order to stem the apartheid of our time and to end what's now 200 days of a live stream genocide.
Noura, we're going to have to stop you there. Obviously, using the word genocide, this is something that's being investigated by the International Court of Justice. But of course, no legal conclusion has been reached yet. So we're just going to have to leave it there. Noura Erakat, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
That duty. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. OK, and for more on Germany's position on Palestinian statehood, we can cross now to DW's chief political editor, Michaela Küfner. Michaela, tell us, is there any chance that Germany would also consider recognising a Palestinian state?
It would, in fact. I'm here at the meeting of the German, French and Polish foreign ministers in Weimar, and Germany maintains that seeing a two-state solution, a Palestinian state, is one of its key foreign policy aims. But when you're talking about whether that's a starting point or an outcome of a political process, Germany is more on the outcome side. And that means that this is considered to be very much a far-off goal at this moment in time. After all, one of Germany's fundamental political principles, reason of state it's called, Staatsräson, is the defense of Israel and staying by Israel's side. And the current government under Benjamin Netanyahu, of course, strictly rejects a two-state solution, let alone declaring a Palestinian state or recognizing a Palestinian state anytime soon. There is a stark contrast to what Germany's policy outlook for a stable and peaceful Middle East is, but it certainly won't make any move in that direction of recognizing a Palestinian state ahead of those, hopefully, peace talks anytime in the future.
Michaela, thanks so much. That's DW's chief political editor, Michaela Küfner.